students, welcome to class. I'm Miss Katie, that vegan teacher, and today we are going to be looking at this video by Joey Carbstrong, who is going to be evaluating a video by that guy Isaac Butterfield. Now, Isaac Butterfield has been in this class before, and he insulted me. He insulted my hair, my nose, my breasts, all different parts of my body, but never actually talked about how he should be protecting the animals. So, you know, who knows? Maybe we should give him another try and see what it's going to be like, but I don't have my hopes up. Meanwhile, here is Joey. Joey Carbstrong defends animals all the time. So let's see what we've got in store. You guys ready? Let's do it!
Drink soy milk, oat milk, rice milk, almond milk. Don't steal milk from a cow. Be vegan, start right now. Follow that vegan teacher, she will show you how.
So Isaac Butterbrains is the king of 10-year-olds. He has about 2 million subs
Oh, Isaac Butterbrains. I thought his name was Butterfield. Oh, thanks for correcting that. I didn't know.
on his YouTube channel. He recycles right-wing arguments. He thinks he has his own insights. He's a comedian. He's just pretty funny to laugh at. He doesn't bring much insight to the table. He's also just a massive anti-vegan for no real justifiable reason, but just because it pleases his 10-year-old fanboys. So Isaac and I have had a bit of back and
Well, I don't know if there's no justifiable reason. I think to him, he justifies it in his own mind. He tries to find fault with veganism because he's too weak to change. He's too much of a coward to go against society because he's afraid that people won't like him. So he refuses to listen to the evidence, which is that hurting animals is wrong. It's painful. It's not good for the environment. It's not even good for our health. It's definitely horrible.
forth. I sort of gave up on him because all he does is go, oh, you have a criminal history, therefore everything you say doesn't matter. So he's got really low grade, low ball sort of argumentation. He never really addresses any intellectual arguments further than appealing to hypocrisy by going, oh, you know what, you have a criminal history, blah, 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 blah. So Isaac Butterbrains just...
Yeah, if you have a criminal history, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to keep on being a criminal. It depends on what your circumstances are, and it depends if you are remorseful or not. And I think that, Joey, you have showed that you are remorseful and you've turned your life around, so that's great. You know, I'm going to give you a check mark, Joey, because you have done some great things. Check mark for Joey!
all-round imbecile. So Butterbrains recently made a video on veganism, so I thought I might reignite the back and forth if he has the backbone to go toe-to-toe with me. But we all know he's a little bit of a coward, isn't he? So let's go. Let's watch it. And let's see what insightful magic this buffoon brings to the table.
So here I was, sitting at home just the other night around 6 p.m. I just finished a fine meal, and what do I see?
I wonder what he ate. Do you think it was a bowl of kale and quinoa? What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Run, run, run from humans. They're trying to stab you. They're trying to murder you, to call you bacon and burn you in a frying pan.
Come on the television.
Picture Isaac sitting at home, scratching his bum, eating a bacon sandwich with
Yeah, it's not a pleasant sight.
ketchup all over his face, when he suddenly wets himself like a triggered man baby after seeing a pro-vegan advert.
There was a hilarious ad that is nothing short of propaganda.
A vegan advertisement that's funny. Oh, I can't wait to see this. Something funny.
And propaganda has been very popular throughout history. The Nazis used it. People have used it.
What? You're saying that a funny ad is similar to what the Nazis did? You know what you get for that? X! That is terrible. What on earth are you talking about?
Non-stop.
So Butterbrains doesn't know the definition of propaganda, but if you want some really good examples of propaganda, here are some that the meat industry use.
I normally play hockey with them because I get my spoon and I go boom, boom, boom.
Kids love beef mince, and being high in iron, it loves them too.
What?
2 very long
Talk about propaganda.
glasses of ice cold milk, please, mate.
Ew, drinking the stolen milk from a baby cow. A baby boy cow who was murdered.
I don't understand people. I don't understand the entitlement of people.
Awful.
Milk.
Oh, you don't know why they murder the baby cows? Because they're considered useless, because they'll never be able to give milk. Oh, that reminds me. I have a cup here. Look at this. Cow's milk is for baby cows. And if you would like to get one of these, you can go into the description below. I have 4 of these different mugs that you can buy for a friend, or you can buy it for yourself. You can leave it on your desk. It's a great way to show the world that you are vegan without actually having to talk about it. Sometimes you just want to let people know in a quiet way.
Are you getting enough?
The doctor says we should pork more often.
Yeah.
Pork fillets with less.
No doctor would ever say that you should eat more pork because pork is a class 1 carcinogen. It is in the same category as cigarettes. If a doctor would tell you to eat more pork, your doctor would be telling you to eat the body of a 6-month-old baby pig who was murdered in a gas chamber, similar to the way that the Nazis murdered the Jews. How horrible is this?
Some half the fat of beef fillets and a valuable source of iron.
Bit of pork, love.
Oh, I love it.
Shouldn't you get some pork on your fork?
Beautiful day. Lamb. Doesn't.
Wow, that's pretty bad ad right there. Who would hold up the body part of an innocent animal who was enslaved? Slavery is wrong, and we enslave animals. Speciesism is wrong. Speciesism is the first form of racism. Imagine holding up a body part of a dead lamb with a big smile on your face. How much did this young woman have to be paid by the meat industry to do this?
Get any better than this.
But this is from the vegans, and it's the nastiest propaganda of all time. Allegedly, Joseph Goebbels runs the propaganda war machine for the vegans.
Looks like Butterbrains learned a new word, propaganda. So let me get this straight. You're comparing vegans to Joseph Goebbels, the guy who tried to cover up extermination camps, consistently demonized and dehumanized Jewish people, the anti-Semite who literally used positive imagery to falsely portray concentration camps as nice places, is
horrible. Just like the meat industry tries to make it seem like factory farms are nice places. These places are hell on earth for innocent animals. Thank you, Joey, for pointing this out. Check mark for you, Joey. Yes.
try to reveal the truth about these horrifying factory farms and slaughterhouses. I mean, I wouldn't expect much less from Butterbrains here, but this is probably the worst example he could have used. Like, Joseph Goebbels actually fits perfectly in line with the strategy of the meat industry, who perpetuate species discrimination. They constantly try to cover up and propagate lies about their industry, calling it
Exactly. Check mark to you, Joey. Good job.
humane, and they use media to consistently try to deny the horrific treatment of animals. Gaslight. Speaking of gas, the meat industry actually use gas chambers. So tell me
Exactly.
again, who's more comparable to Nazi propagandists?
And he's doing a really good job because this...
How can Isaac Butterfield say all of this with a straight face? You know, X to him, X to you. Sorry, Isaac, but this isn't looking well for you. Trying to be here with an open mind, but you're digging a big hole for yourself.
This is the that they come out with. Fruit and veg. Nice. Usually avoid this section, to be honest.
You avoid healthy food. That's not the best example to show to your audience. I'll give you an X for that. X to you.
Avoiding the fruit and veg section sounds like a typical man baby who cries to his mummy every time he doesn't want to eat his vegetables.
Oh, she's walking
Check
up
mark.
past
Good job, Joey.
yummy vegan burgers that will probably kill you.
Nope. Vegan burgers don't kill you. X to you.
Think beyond meat, buy veggie burgers instead. Think of the animals. Think beyond meat, it's time to be vegan. Get it through your head.
Obviously, vegan burgers won't kill you. In fact, in the swap meat randomized crossover trial, the study found the plant products improved several cardiovascular disease risk factors, including TMAO, and there were no adverse effects on risk factors from the plant products.
Pork. Evil pork. Shortcut bacon.
Yeah, it is evil. Are you saying it with a serious mindset, or are you trying to be sarcastic here? Because it is evil to kill animals.
Pork mince. Pork chops.
Also, just take note of how the pork products are displayed here. There's no accurate imagery on the package.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you. You're absolutely right. Check mark for you telling the truth. It's extremely sad what happens to the animals. And you're right. They're body parts in the fridge look nothing like what they are in real life.
To show how the animals are treated, chopped up into pieces. It's almost like they try to completely disconnect the shopper from the reality of these products. But vegans are the propagandists, right?
Oh my God, where is she? It looks like Rolf Harris's and the Dalai Lama's dungeon. It's terrifying.
What? The Dalai Lama's dungeon. Doesn't make any sense. So X to you. Nope. Gotta try to make some sense. It is a horrible place. Look at those innocent animals in those farrowing crates. These poor pigs who cannot even turn around. And Isaac, you have a smile on your face? What kind of a psychopath are you? You know what? I think we have a, yeah, definitely you're a murderer. That's for sure. Let's hold this up. You, unfortunately, are a murderer, Isaac. You need to face up to it. You're going to get an X for eating animals, especially after you've seen what we just showed here. Awful.
There's lots of pigs. Pigs aren't. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, not okay. X!
That's pretty up.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucked up. But did that make you change? Did it make you have a heart for the animals and decide not to eat them?
Oh, great. I hope this is footage they found and they didn't recreate it.
What's that supposed to mean, found and recreate? Let's see what Joey's going to say.
You didn't
know.
did you?
What about how he tried to say, I hope they found this and didn't recreate it? Like, do you really think Isaac gives a damn about seeing pigs in farrowing crates? Or is he just virtue signaling so he doesn't look like a complete scumbag in front of his audience?
I think you're making a really good point, Joey. I think you're right. I think he's trying to show a little bit of humanity so that his audience won't hate him. And I think it is a strategy that, unfortunately, is going to work on some people who are not smart enough, but you know better. So check mark for you, Joey. Thank you very much for pointing that out.
But if he actually does think this is messed up, then I wonder what he'd think of actual farrowing crate investigations that are about 1,000 times worse than this. In fact, this is a much more sanitized version of what farrowing sheds are actually like, and yet he still thinks this is bad?
I'm really surprised to see that on TV at 6 o'clock at night.
You don't want to know where your food comes from? No? You're afraid also to see a garden when they pull out a potato or a carrot? Kids shouldn't be seeing that either?
Like, a lot of kids are watching TV, and I know it is probably necessary for people to understand what factory farming looks like, because it's not okay.
Why would it be a problem for kids to see where their food comes from, Isaac? Yeah, it's really shocking. It's nowhere near the reality
Good job, Joey.
of Australian pig farming like what you saw in that advertisement. It's nowhere close. And first you claim that activists were engaged in some type of Goebbels-style propaganda campaign, and now you're saying it's probably necessary for us to understand what factory farming looks like. So how is showing the reality of factory farming propaganda? I think Isaac's only brain cell got confused.
It is not good.
His only brain cell got confused. Okay, I have so many different cards here. Let me see which one would be appropriate to hold up. Ah, yes, here's one. There we go. 0 use of brain cells. That's right. That's for you, Isaac. Joey's right.
But it happens to be the only way we can feed a population that is nutritious
Ooh, that is an absolute lie.
and beneficial for all.
Well,
X for you, because that's a lie. Let's see if Joey is going to point it out.
factory farming is the only way to meet the demand for animal products. So of course, this kind of cruelty and suffering is inevitable, but it's not the only way we can feed a population a nutritionally adequate diet. Animal agriculture uses about 80% of the world's farmland, but only provides about 20% of the calories. Like, it's so well known now that plant-based diets are nutritionally adequate and they're way more efficient than animal products. If you don't know that by now, I don't know what to tell you, mate.
I don't know what to tell him either. I mean, this is just such a well-known fact now, documented over and over by scientists, dietitians, doctors, nurses. Everybody knows this now.
You can say that plants are there. Shut up, all right? You are incorrect. You cherry-pick data, you cherry-pick evidence.
Well, picking cherries is good, but not data. We shouldn't be doing that. So why are you doing it then? I'm sorry, but you get another X.
You've been lied to. You've learned that from memes. Shut up.
We learned how to lie from me, meaning you.
Up.
He's having a moment of projection there. Butterbrain seems to think that the only research on vegan diets being healthy are cherry-picked memes. Yet there are many high-quality studies that show the benefits of a plant-based diet.
Exactly. PubMed, all kinds of university studies.
Like the Adventist Health Study 2, which showed vegetarian, including vegan diets, are associated with lower all-cause mortality, or this study that showed vegan diets are associated with
Oh yes, absolutely, Joey. Good job showing the studies.
Cardiovascular disease and ischemic heart disease, or this meta-analysis that showed a significant protective effect of a vegetarian vegan diet versus the incidence and or mortality from ischemic heart disease and incidence from total cancer. But I guess these studies are all cherry-picked memes in Isaac's world.
The truth is there is a terrible disconnect.
It's so strange that he could think actual research and evidence, peer-reviewed evidence of all kinds, that he would just think this is some sort of like anecdote. What does he think?
Between where your meat comes from and how it gets from, the farm to your mouth.
The irony of Isaac Butterbrain's talking about disconnect when he tried to accuse activists of Goebbels-style propaganda for helping people make the connection. It's almost like he's a completely dishonest, biased fool who does...
I think he's actually a dishonest fool. I think you're right. Maybe we could call him a dumbass. Do you think that would apply to him? There you go. I think so.
Doesn't care about ethics or logic and only seeks to hang on for dear life to his crappy bacon sandwich with contradictory, illogical nonsense.
We see meat as just something that's in the refrigerator at the shops. It's packaged up nicely, and take it home and cook it and eat it. It's delicious. In reality, something had to die for you to enjoy that.
Something had to die?
Nope. Someone.
Animals are not things, and no, they didn't have to die.
Excellent. Yay, Joey. Yay, good job.
They had to be enslaved, tortured, and murdered in order for you to eat their chopped up body parts.
And I think what should be shown, rather than this horrible account of what actually happens in factory farming, and there are some farming people out there, or farmers as they're more commonly known, who could probably let us know in the comment section that this isn't all farm.
Oh yeah, let's let the people comment who are trying to hurt animals and make money off of selling their dead bodies. Yeah, because that's not unbalanced at all. Why don't you invite the actual scientists, doctors, nurses, all of the people, the healthy, amazing athletes to come and comment? Why wouldn't you do that?
This is definitely not all farms. It does happen. It's not okay, but it's not all farms.
See how painful it is to listen to him try to gather his thoughts. So it's not all farms, it's just the vast majority of pigs are factory farmed all across the world, Australia, Europe, UK, USA, and almost everywhere else in the world. And even if they're not all factory farmed, all animals in every farming situation will have their rights violated via gas chamber, bolt gun, or throat stabbing.
I think it would be much more beneficial for...
Yeah, I'm just going to look around here and see if I have any other cards that would apply here. Let me see. Here's one. Oh yeah, here's one. Carnists are assholes, and I know that is what you're trying to say, right, Joey? Yeah. Thank you, Joey. So far, you're doing really well, Joey. I like this evaluation of Isaac's speech.
Particularly young people to see what hunting does and how beneficial hunting is.
How beneficial it is to hurt others who've never done anything wrong to you. I think that's a big X for you. Let's see what else goes to you. Here's one for you. Yeah, dumbass. There's one. And how about ignoramus? There you go.
So first, Isaac claims that factory farming is not okay and there's a terrible disconnect from where your meat comes from. And his solution to this is not to show people the reality of it, but instead show imagery of people hunting out in nature and how that's good for the environment. So Isaac's solution to the problem is to disconnect people even further from where their food comes from with his own little propaganda-style campaign. Step aside, Goebbels. Butterbrains is here. But let's address it. 1, hunting is murder. 2, how does he think that this...
Hunting is murder. Absolutely right. Let's see what we got here. Oh, here's one for you. Logical reasoning. Good for you. Thank you for showing us those studies, and thank you for cracking this crazy presentation by Isaac Butterfield. You're doing a great job.
This murder is scalable for the entire population. He literally just said that factory farming animals is the only way we can supply the population meat. How has his memory lapsed in such a short amount of time?
I don't know. It's very strange. Maybe he has early onset Alzheimer's from eating too much meat.
You could say the animal still has to die, and yes, it does still have to die, but if I was a deer, I'd much rather be shot through the heart with an arrow or a bullet at, 10 years old than die.
What? What? So you think that the people who are shooting deers are waiting until they're 10 years old? Is that it? Yeah, they know their birthdays, and you would rather that the animals die.
Die of starvation at 12 years old.
Okay, so you think that we should kill everybody before they're old? At what age exactly? Does this apply also to humans? I'm 58. Is my time up? Because you don't want me to suffer later? Is that it, Isaac? Very strange. There you go. There's an X for you. And here's also 0 use of brain cells. That applies to you too. Wow, crazy stuff coming out of here. Joey, how are you hanging in there? You doing okay?
When I'm too frail to look after myself. Does that not make complete sense? Dying of starvation would really suck.
Yeah, it makes complete sense if you're a dumbass and a murderer.
There we go. All right, where is it? There's the dumbass. There's the murderer. Good job, Joey. Check marks for you. Check, 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 check.
That would
Excellent.
literally be unjustifiable murder. Could you imagine going out and shooting human beings down, trying to prevent them from future suffering? I guess Butterbrains wouldn't mind if I shot him dead right now.
I guess he maybe wouldn't, but, I have a feeling that he probably would change his mind if you proposed that to him. But, he's too afraid to talk to you, so.
Considering he's probably going to suffer and die of old age from all that animal flesh decomposing in his bowels. According to this study, the biggest cause of deer death is, wait for it, hunting.
Exactly.
At 43%. Starvation only accounted for 9% of deer deaths. So it seems the best way to help deer
Is to maybe not kill them.
is to stop shooting them. Imagine that. And the idea
Good
that...
job. All right, what have we got here? Yes, vegans try to do the least harm. That's what we try to do. People like Joey try to do the least harm. Whereas somebody like Isaac Butterfield doesn't give a shit, doesn't care whatsoever about anyone except for himself. Real men don't hurt animals. Real men protect animals. I think Joey would classify as a real man.
Hunters are out there like Mother Teresa trying to prevent future suffering, like that's their sole motivation.
Where's my sarcasm one? Smart sarcasm. That's right. That's what Isaac Butterfield is like. He's just exactly like Mother Teresa, trying to protect people from getting old and suffering, and animals from getting old and suffering. So he's proposing that people kill them before they can suffer. And when you kill these deer, by the way, you don't know how old they are. You don't think you're letting their friends around them suffer, their families. You don't think that you're killing deer and sometimes leaving babies without mothers.
For hunting is a complete joke. If that's the case, why aren't you out there in Ethiopia machine gunning down starving children to prevent their suffering?
Oh my God. Exactly. Smart sarcasm. Good job.
You know why? Because it's psychotic.
Psychotic. Do I have one for that? Oh boy. Psychotic. Oh, I don't have one. I don't have a psychotic one. But yeah, I should definitely make one because that sounds... Oh, I do. There you go. Psychotic. Absolutely right, Joey.
Cannot see a world where we do not eat meat. We've been eating it for the entire history of...
Yeah, people have also been raping women for the entire history. Doesn't mean it's right. There's no right way to do the wrong thing, and just because something is in your culture or tradition doesn't mean that you should keep doing it.
Humankind.
I can't see a world where humans don't mass murder other humans. I can't see a world where kids aren't being bombed in wars. I can't see a world where rapists don't rape. So
Exactly.
I might as well just participate in all these injustices and say I can't see a world without those happening, so therefore it's fine to participate in it, yeah? I mean, Isaac's argument here, I can't see a world without said evil act, therefore I can participate in said evil act, would literally justify you doing anything.
Anything.
So good one, Isaac, mate. Which one of your brain cells come up with that one? The only one?
Zero use of brain cells. Thank you for bringing it up. Joey,
Okay.
you rock.
Just, there's so many arguments. You can talk about anemia, lack of B.
Anemia. Oh, yeah, because nobody who is eating animals ever gets that, right? Maybe you're forgetting that I worked as a registered nurse for 25 years and we had plenty of people who had anemia who were eating animals. Everybody is different.
12, lack of protein.
And by the way, I actually had anemia too before becoming vegan, and then I figured out that I could make a smoothie every morning and pack in the spinach really very strongly, very, very firmly inside of a smoothie maker and put some fruit in there, and that will help to absorb the iron. There are many things you can do. And if you really, really need to, you can take a supplement. It's better than murder.
But it just sucks.
Isaac accuses vegans of cherry-picking memes, right, to get our information. And he's just said a bunch of words and provided no evidence for his claims. Well, Isaac, it turns out we can supplement B12, and if we get enough protein and iron and calcium from our diets, we'll be absolutely fine.
Would you rather pay someone to kill or take a cute little vitamin pill? Cyanocobalamin, it's a B12 vitamin. If you take 2,000 micrograms a week, all the cells in your body will win. Let's get a quote from nutritionfacts.org. B12 is not made by plants or animals, but by microbes that blanket the earth. These bacteria grow in the guts of animals, which is why their body and products can be a source of this vitamin. Our herbivore primate cousins get all they need ingesting bugs, dirt, and feces, and we may have once gotten all we needed by drinking out of mountain streams or well water. But now we chlorinate our water supply to kill off any bugs, so we don't get a lot of B12 in the water anymore, but we don't get a lot of cholera either. That's a good thing. Would you rather pay someone to kill or take a cute little vitamin pill? Cyanocobalamin, it's a B12 vitamin. If you take 2,000 micrograms a week, all the cells in your body will win. Be better, be vegan.
Here's something you guys can look at, nutritionfacts.org. I know that Joey goes there to get some of his information, and many, many vegans do. So go there and check it out. You will find that Dr. Gregor, who is one of the main people who speaks about veganism there on this channel, is somebody who is a vegan for many, many years. And Dr. Gregor over on this channel actually walks on a treadmill while doing live videos. And, you know, go and check it out. This is all kinds of scientific articles there that remind you that being vegan is healthful for all stages of development.
Isn't that crazy? But isn't it also crazy that any poorly planned diet can be deficient in certain nutrients? But if we consume a well-balanced diet with supplements, we won't run into any deficiencies. That's mad, eh?
Not to mention all the...
Yeah, I mean, tons of people give their kids or their family members a multivitamin every day. I mean, there are just many, many different brands that go into any pharmacy, and you will see them. It is not just vegans who are taking multivitamins.
Animals that vegans kill when they grow their little crops. But anyway.
And we all knew it was coming, didn't we?
Oh boy, here we go.
Let's see what he produces.
Let's talk about that. Because I'm sick of vegans talking about, oh, we save lives. Bull. Okay, we can talk about bugs and all that type of and field mice and all that type of stuff that you run over with your big machines when you're getting your bread out. When it comes...
I'm sorry, but you don't think that there are machines that are collecting the crops when they are being fed to the animals that you eat, Isaac?
It's protecting crops from insects. We have a right to protect our food resources. If we allowed insects to mow through our crops, it could cause a global disaster or mass starvation. It is not a rights violation to protect your property from insects who cannot be reasoned with.
Exactly. Ah, here it is. Incidental deaths are not rights violations. Thank you, Joey. I'm glad you brought that up.
Would mow down an entire population's food source without thinking about it. We have to defend those crops, right? Justification. In regards to field mice, they are so unlikely to be run over by a harvester, it's laughable. Do you think field mice are so stupid that when they hear a harvester start up, they don't run out of the field?
No, they all just stand around there and just wait to be run over, right?
Are you serious, dude? In this study where they actually radio-collared mice to test this out, it showed the process of harvesting has little direct effect on the mice. The mice were mostly killed by predation, and it's unclear as to whether those mice would have been killed by predators anyway without the crop there.
Exactly. I mean, if you've ever walked into a house and seen a mouse or the mouse noticed you, the first thing the mouse does is try to run away. I mean, if mice are feeling the ground rumble and these big machines coming to collect the wheat or the soy or whatever, they're not just going to stand there.
Do you have any comparative data to show that the mice definitely died because of the crop harvest and wouldn't have died from predators?
Good one, Joey. Checkmark to you, asking for the data.
Anyway, and if there are some mice that are run over by the machines, that's not a rights violation. That's literally an accident. This is similar to a road toll, and we accept a certain number of accidents, hit and runs, from the traffic industry. We know that by participating in transport, people will die. We still do that because it's justified transport for civilization. We drive cars at high speeds knowing sooner or later that someone's going to die, and we don't categorize those accidents or incidents as murder or a rights violation.
Exactly. These are accidents. They are incidental deaths.
I'm not sure if Butterbrains is aware of the amount of monocropping it takes to produce the grain that goes to chicken and pig feed for his diet. when he sits there eating his bacon sandwich, scratching his ass, having a whinge.
But
What's a whinge? I don't know that word. I'll look it up later. Let me know in the comments if you know what that means. I don't know if it's because I'm Canadian or because I'm 58. I don't know what that means, but write it down below.
what about this? This is hilarious.
I'm sure this is going to be the most logically watertight debunk of veganism to date.
Well, not
There we go. Good sarcasm.
hilarious if you're a duck, but in the 5 years leading up to 2013, New South Wales rice farmers killed 200,000 native ducks to protect their field.
Oh, I heard about this one before. Let's see what Joey says about this.
I want this to be very clear for people listening. Anytime someone talks about crop protection, like shooting animals to protect crops, it should be scrutinised very heavily, because it's unclear as to whether this is genuine protection of property or whether it's just people exploiting hunting bans
Exactly. Check mark to you, Joey.
under the guise of crop protection. So in 1995, duck hunting was actually banned in New South Wales, but there was a convenient loophole. If a farmer allowed you on their land to protect their crops. As mentioned in this article, the ducks are being killed by amateur hunters, many of them driving up from Melbourne for weekend hunting trips, who are focused on sport rather than protecting rice crops.
Imagine thinking it is a sport to shoot an innocent animal just flying, not doing anything wrong, or just trying to eat some kind of substance to allow them to live. I mean, a lot of these ducks don't even eat the rice, as far as I know.
Some of the ducks being killed don't even eat rice, said Miss Stacker. 65 pink-eared ducks had been shot, but they only ate plankton and insects. It's almost like they're not interested in protecting rice, and instead, they're just exploiting hunting ban loopholes for sport. Also, this 200,000 ducks killed number Isaac mentioned is a little hard to verify, but the latest numbers for the last 5 years is about 28,000 ducks killed in total, so that averages to about 5,700 a year. Alright, you mathematicians out there, get your calculators out, because you're going to need them for this next part.
Oh boy.
And Butterbrains, I think you should just tune out for this part, because it's going to fly straight over your head. No pun intended. So let's assume the 5,700 ducks killed each year were all attributable to rice protection, specifically. And if we look at the amount of rice produced in New South Wales in the year 2020 to 2021, it was around 400,000 tonnes. So if you take the 5,700 duck deaths and you divide it by the amount of calories in 400,000 tonnes dry weight of rice, which is about 1.4 trillion calories, you get this number here. That's how many duck deaths there are per
That's not very much. Thanks for showing this all to us. Good job. Check mark to
calorie
you.
of New South Wales rice, based on these figures. So for that to equal one equivalent duck death, you would need to eat roughly 245,700,000 calories, or around 70,200 kilograms dry weight of rice. That's just for one duck death. For
Fascinating, isn't it?
perspective, if you compared it to eating like actual duck flesh, according to the USDA, a whole duck is around 2,445 calories. If you were to consume 245,700,000 calories of duck flesh, you would need to kill over 100,000 entire ducks. So yeah, I think eating rice is much better for animals than eating animals is.
Check mark.
Crazy thought, right? And also, why don't you ever hear Isaac harping on about kangaroos who are shot to protect grazing land of cattle in Australia, or rats who are dog hunted on pig farms? So
Poor little dogs who are taught to do that.
almost like he doesn't care about hunting to protect the farms where he gets his flesh from. Do you know how many animals are killed to protect animal farms? But it's almost like he doesn't care about that because he's a biased asshole.
And because all he wants to do is eat meat. Good job, check mark for you. Good job.
Now finally, if it really is genuine protection of your property, the human food supply, and not just undercover sport hunting, and all alternatives have been exhausted, then in most cases, that's probably not a rights violation, because there are competing rights happening and certain crop protection measures are justifiable to prevent a global food catastrophe. There's a huge moral distinction between protecting property and enslaving animals.
That applies to you, Joey. Vegans understand moral distinctions. Exactly. Thank you for pointing that out. Some of these things are subtle, but veganism is about trying to do the least harm, right? Like you, Joey. You're trying to do the least harm, as opposed to Isaac Butterbrain, who, well, he's a little insane.
Their flesh.
More than 1,500 animals die each year to grow about 75 hectares of peas. Next time there's peas on your plate that you don't want to eat, think about how many animals had to die for that.
Now,
Oh my goodness, this guy.
we could just completely dismiss this claim on the grounds that the source is an anecdote from a pro-meat book salesman who just basically says, trust me, bro. Topping that, it's from a Daily Mail article whose sole motivation was to debunk veganism. So yeah, the most biased, nonsense, anecdote, trust me, bro source ever. We could just throw it in the bin and move on, but let's address it.
Oh boy, Joey's going in for the punch.
Just assume
Yeah,
this
Joey.
1,500 deaths that is true of all peas in Australia.
Wait, I gotta make sure to give you the yay, Joey. Joey, you're getting right into it, man. Good job.
Let's just call it a pea yield on the lower end of about a ton of peas a hectare. Then a yield of 75 hectares would amount to about 60,750,000 calories of peas. And that would equate to about 0.0000247 deaths per calorie. So in order to be responsible for one animal death, you need to eat about 40,500 calories or 50 kilograms of peas. So let's put that into perspective in terms of chicken.
50 kilograms of peas. I think I weigh about 46 kilograms. So imagine my whole body being filled with peas. It's just lifting that's a lot of peas.
The most eaten land animal on Earth. So if we assume there's about 1,295 calories per whole bird, if you were to eat 40,500 calories of chicken flesh, that equates to around 31 chickens killed. And that's excluding all the crop deaths from the feed the chicken had to eat. And after all that, let's not forget that Isaac's source is Trust Me Bro from a Daily Mail article.
At least 100 mice are killed per hectare per year to grow grain. That's a lot of grain that they have to kill, and a lot of mice.
So this claim is so old, outdated, has been thoroughly debunked. It's from a Mike Archer article in 2011 called Ordering the Vegetarian Meal, There's More Animal Blood on Your Hands. Everyone's had a go at this. It's ridiculous. So Mike Archer's estimates falsely assumed that mice plagues would affect all wheat fields in Australia every 4 years when they don't. So if you check out these two debunks, one from VStats and one from COG, once his numbers were properly adjusted for, the number of deaths dropped between 1 and 1.8 mouse deaths per 100 kilograms of wheat protein. Also, Archer used the out-of-date wheat yield number of 1.5 tons per hectare, but according to Australian Grain in 2022, the average yields are about 3 tons of wheat per hectare. Now, get your calculators out. So Archer was basically comparing the amount
The guy scratches his head.
of deaths in wheat protein compared to beef protein. And his claim was that more animals die for wheat protein than they do beef protein. But wheat is low in protein, beef is high in protein. A much fairer measurement is wheat calories. So taking all that into account, the new revised number of 1 to 1.8 deaths, to be responsible for between 1 and 1.8 deaths, you'd need to eat about 1,520 kilograms of wheat flour or 5 million calories. So in order to eat 5 million calories of beef, that's 200 kilograms of beef. Based on this data of death
Did he say, oh, okay, there was 2,000 on the screen. He said 200, but he meant 2,000.
per million calories, that would account for around 145 deaths when you include deaths from harvest. So yeah, Mike Archer's claims are a bunch of nonsense. This 100 mice killed per hectare per year to grow grain is based on inflated mice plague numbers. And when people do a few adjustments, it drops the number right down. And when you compare it to eating cows, a lot more animals die, and plus the cow has their rights violated.
Mate, here's my whole point. What's more important? 1 cow per person per 6 months, maybe?
Could we imagine Isaac making this argument? What's more important, the one human I enslaved and decapitated?
I gotta give him another X. He is being ridiculous because we have just talked about that. It's not just 1 cow, it is also all of the calories that the cow has consumed.
And ate, lasted me 3 months, or eating some wheat that kills some mice, incidentally.
Incidentally.
Like, he's insane murder.
Incidentally, not on purpose.
Or wouldn't you imagine him using wheat as a justification for murder? That's what he's doing. But how
It
can
is.
Isaac make a claim 2 seconds ago that 100 mice die per hectare of grain and then claim only 1 cow is killed per 6 months of calories? Doesn't Butterbrains understand that grass-fed cows are fed harvested grasses? They don't just eat grass off the ground. Haven't you ever seen the big hay bales and silage, forage, and all those crops that are harvested to feed to grass-fed cows? Also, he lives in Australia where beef cows are finished in feedlots.
Look at that. How horrible. What an absolute holocaust. Look at that. No trees. There's no grass there. That's a feedlot. Thank you, Joey, for all that you're doing.
With grain. Or
Check
wouldn't the
mark for
crop
you
their
again.
supply there, mate?
Or 100 mice for a slice of bread.
100 mice for one slice of bread? Listen to this dude. Literally, Archer claimed it was 100 mice per hectare to begin with. We already told you that's nonsense because mouse plagues don't affect everywhere in Australia at once. But let's go back to this data for deaths per million calories. So if we assumed 1.6 deaths per million calories of grain and there's 80 calories in one slice of bread, that would be approximately this number of deaths for every slice of bread. Based on this, to cause 100 mice deaths, you would need to consume about 757,500 slices of bread, or around 42,018 sliced loaves. So yeah, that's a little more than one slice of bread, mate. Also, let's not forget that incidental field deaths are not an animal rights violation.
And some peas, a couple of ducks for some rice.
Actually, in order to kill a couple of ducks for some rice, based on our last calculations, you need to eat about 140 metric tons dry weight of New South Wales rice. So yeah, nah, not some rice, mate. A lot of rice.
That's a lot of rice. Joey, love you. You're doing great. You're doing some great. You're using your critical thinking skill. You are showing us that you're doing the math. That's excellent. And unfortunately, Isaac is getting another X because he is just acting like starts with the letter D, dumbass. Yep.
And that's so long as the deaths were actually due to crop protection and not sport hunters exploiting hunting ban loopholes.
Producing 1 kilo of protein from wheat, a common crop in Australia, kills roughly 25 times more creatures than producing a kilogram of beef protein.
Okay, so we already talked about this. Comparing a low protein product like wheat protein to a high protein product like beef is a sneaky way to inflate numbers. We really should be comparing calories like in this study, but we already know cows in Australia are finished with grain in feedlots and they also fed harvested grasses. And this 25 times more number is another Archer claim. But of course, once his inflated mice plague numbers were properly adjusted for and harvested deaths were included, eating beef ends up killing way more animals. And let's not forget that according to the UN, 77% of global farmland is used for animal agriculture.
Exactly, to feed the animals that he eats.
So grazing land and growing crops to feed animals. So any kind of farm-related killing, so trapping, poisoning,
stabbing, all of it.
Protection, crop deaths, animal rights violations, decapitation of animals, all of that stuff would be reduced if we all adopted a vegan diet. So we're talking about the actual...
Yes, facts, yay. Good job. Reminding people to adopt a vegan diet, saying the word vegan over and over again. Yes, and you understand that vegans are trying to cause the least harm. Of course, sometimes vegans cause some harm. We accidentally step on ants. And as you said before, accidents can happen, but there's a big difference between willfully killing somebody, going out there and killing a deer who's never harmed you at all, and just accidentally hurting an animal. So thanks, Joey, for pointing all of this out.
Killing of the animals and all the farm-related death and harm and suffering and killing and trapping and hunting and protection and all those things reduced. According to Oxford University, we could reduce global farmland by 75% if we all adopted a vegan diet.
Look at that. Let's go back there and see what it says.
Harm and suffering and killing and trapping and hunting and protection and all those
I've
things
seen this
reduced.
study.
According to Oxford University.
Look at that. An area equivalent to the US, China, European Union, and Australia combined, and still feed the world. Isn't that amazing? If you got rid of all of animal agriculture, how much you could reforest, and you could have so many animals that would come back. And look, it says here, mass extinction of wildlife is what happens when so many different factory farms are around. Go vegan.
We could reduce global farmland by 75% if we all adopted a vegan diet. So that would eliminate 75% of all those farm-related deaths, including the trillions of marine animals that are slaughtered for humans as well, which I don't think Isaac factors into the equation. He probably thinks fish are vegetables.
So?
He probably does. It's terrible, but thank you, Joey.
There's the question, once again. Whose lives are more important? Cows and pigs, or everything else?
Well, all sentient...
They're not things. You get an X for that.
Beings deserve moral consideration. But the context in which these deaths occur is important. Incidental deaths are not a rights violation. Accidents are not a rights violation. Genuine defense of property is not a rights violation. But enslaving, forcibly breeding, and decapitating animals for a sandwich is a clear animal rights violation. Also, if anyone actually cares about animals getting caught up in crop fields, you would boycott animal products, considering on average it takes about 10 times more calories from feed to produce the same amount of calories from animal products.
My point is, if you're going to try to indoctrinate kids into the vegan lifestyle, at least be honest.
You're the only one who is being dishonest here. X for you. What on earth? How does he get away? Joey, I don't know how you're staying so calm.
We love animals.
Yeah, I can tell by how you take your money out of your pocket and give it to places that murder them. Yeah, but you love them. I mean, are you married? Do you also love your wife and pay somebody to hurt her?
This absolute liar just say be honest after saying that he wants to not show people factory farm footage and instead show them some idyllic hunting situation. Yeah. The audacity of this guy to tell people to be...
Yeah, I mean, let's bring out some of these again. I think he's a bit psychotic. Yeah, and I think he really, unfortunately, it's the D word again for Isaac Butterfield. And let's remind everybody that when you pay people to hurt animals, you are paying as if you are the murderer yourself.
Call vegan. This is an animal who didn't want to die. This is vegan food, you should give it a try. This was someone's baby that should make you cry. This is vegan food, it should make you smile. It's something you should buy.
And the irony of calling veganism indoctrination when children are literally force-fed industry lies and minced up body parts for their whole life, so that by the time they're adults, a watered-down ad like this one, with a small taste of reality, puts them in a state of shock. I wonder how many meat eaters complained about this ad, yet it's practically standard practice in the pork industry. Also, I'm sure even most children are smart enough to understand the moral difference between this and this. I'm sure most children can understand the difference between slavery and murder, or a car accident and self-defense. Both might incur a death, but one's a rights violation and one is not.
You would actually kill less animals as a single person if you ate a carnivore diet than a vegan diet.
Wow, straight up lying. It's unbelievable. How can you sleep at night, Isaac Butterfield, knowing how much death you are contributing to with these lies? And what is really sad is that somebody like Joey only has 151,000 subscribers. So I encourage everybody who subscribes to my channel to subscribe to Joey's channel, Joey Carbstrong, and make sure that you go to Isaac Butterfield's comment section and let him know that Joey did a video about him and that I did a video about him, because it's really important that his fans and followers learn the truth.
Think about that. That's hilarious.
Again, if you're going off of Archer's fake inflated mouse plague numbers, that might be true, as long as you don't factor in the crops that are harvested to feed the animals. But when you look at a standard carnivore diet, what is it? It's just meat, eggs, it's fish. How many fish are murdered? Between 1 and 3 trillion every year.
Yeah, the oceans do not belong to us. That's their own ecosystem. Let them, the fish, the whales, the dolphins, all of the other sea life live in there peacefully. We maybe have a right to dip our feet in there, to go on the surface on a sailboat without disturbing things, but we should leave the oceans the fuck alone.
And yeah, you got to factor in the feed that these animals eat. So Isaac goes on about vegans cherry picking. He picks up a Daily Mail article, reads some numbers, and then says eating a carnivore diet kills less animals, because that's what he wants to believe. That's what he wants to believe, but he doesn't care about the truth, this guy. On this graph, right, check out where plants are when it comes to deaths per calorie. So the idea that we start killing and eating more animals and that's going to kill less animals is absolutely nonsense. So I just want to say one more important thing about this crop deaths thing. It's really much better to be agnostic as to whether cropland causes more death than the wildland that was there before it. Because you got to think, in wildland, there's all this predation happening. There's birds getting mice. There's insects eating each other. There's a lot of death that's happening already in that land. Now, it might even be that putting crops there is actually better for animals. Maybe that gives them a little more coverage from birds of prey. Maybe that plot of land has less death happening in it. And when the crops are harvested, these animals run away. So unless these carnivore or butterhead buffoons have comparative data to show cropland causes more death than the wildland before it, we can just dismiss it.
But ladies and gentlemen, these people do not around. They love showing pigs in pain in some certain situations. In fact,
we don't love to show pigs in pain. It is very painful for us to see that and know that it goes on and know that people like you are encouraging it. I don't think that Joey wants to see any animals in pain. I'm sure that he would rather be doing anything else. But people like Joey are consumed with sadness knowing that this terrible crime is going on and that people like you are perpetuating it. And so he and I and many like us feel compelled to make it our life's work to be here to tell the truth.
Factory farming.
Pigs in pain in certain situations. You mean like the vast majority of the time?
They love to try to get to your emotional centres of your brain to make you feel bad while you're sitting there eating dinner.
Why would you even feel bad about it, mate? Emotional centres, why would you feel bad about it? I thought animals were here for us. They're not humans, they're here for us, they're food. Why do you think they matter morally enough for you to feel bad about them? Is it because you're getting a little glimmer of emotion underneath the layers and layers of indoctrination by the meat cult? The meat propaganda and indoctrination and cultural indoctrination has disconnected you from your empathy towards animals, and vegans remind you of it.
Yeah, he's suffering from confirmation bias, which means that Isaac, whenever he is presented with new information, he automatically wants to confirm that it is biased, doesn't ever look at anything from a new perspective, and he has surrounded himself with carnists who believe like him, who are as equally as cowardly, who are not brave enough to change. Somebody like Joey Carbstrong is a real man. He is able to look at the evidence and to change and to sacrifice by not eating the foods that he used to like and say to himself, you know what? That's no problem. I'll eat other things. I don't have to eat beings. And it's not even really a sacrifice because there are so many vegan options out there.
Tofu scramble, it's so easy to do. Woo-hoo. Eating eggs is so last century, nobody needs to, so here's what you do. Mash tofu, green onions, and celery in a pan. Add black salt, turmeric, and spices, yes you can. Mix in some vegan mayo. Mix in some vegan mayo. Now mix in a salty pickle. Yeah, that's the way to go. Oh, ooh. Tofu scramble, it's so easy to do. Woo-hoo. Learn how to make it, cause saving animals will make them happy and will make you happy too. The egg industry's just a cycle of misery. Let's make the animal holocaust history. The egg industry's just a cycle of misery. Let's make the animal holocaust history. Tofu scramble, it's so easy to do. Woo-hoo. Learn how to make it, cause saving animals will make them happy and will make you happy too.
There are so many recipes.
And it pisses you off. That's why you make these stupid videos, because you actually might feel a little bit bad about it. And vegans remind you of how you felt about animals as a kid.
But they're not being honest.
I think that's a very good point, Joey. Check mark to you. Check mark to you. Yeah. I mean, there are some people who are actual psychopaths in the world, and it is possible that he is one of them. But a lot of people who eat animals have just blocked it out, and they're just so used to the habit of eating them, and they cannot stand up for themselves because they're too weak. They're too afraid of what their coworkers will say or their classmates will say. But good people will always try hard to do the right thing. They won't be like Isaac Butterfield. They'll be like Joey Carbstrong.
They're just not being honest.
Yeah, but cherry-picking false facts out of a biased Daily Mail anti-vegan article in order to justify the worst enslavement, torture, mass murder on Earth is being honest, right, mate?
Let's get out the sarcasm one. That was definitely sarcasm. Where is it? Oh, my goodness. I lost it. Oh, here it is. There you go. That's for you, Joey. Smart sarcasm. Good job.
That doesn't stop them. They're assholes.
It's almost like he's the king of irony and projection.
I don't understand people. I don't understand the entitlement of people.
Like, literally, you're the most dishonest arsehole on the internet, mate.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have one yet that says asshole, but, you know, I should make one of those cards. I mean, we have ignoramus. We've got that. Is that okay, Joey? Is that a good one for him? Let's give him a bunch of other X's. X for Isaac Butterfield. Joey, you know, I don't know. I know how much more of this is there. I don't know if I can handle listening to this guy anymore, but all right, let's go to the end. You guys okay at home? You guys okay to go to the end? We have made it to 27 minutes so far. By the way, if you haven't yet liked this video, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, press the notification bell, help Joey and I get the animals out of hell.
Like, when these kids that follow you go from about, what are they, probably about 10 years old now? When they grow up to be about 12, they'll see just how much of a dumbass you really are, mate.
The fact of the matter is this: it's easy to give animals human-like traits, to make them look like humans, to make them act like humans. And if you do that, it's harder to kill them.
We're not giving animals human-like traits.
What is he talking
They
about?
possess the trait sentience. Humans and animals possess this trait. It's what gives us subjective experience. It's what makes us matter morally, because what happens to us matters to us. What happens to the animals matters to them. We share a consistent morally relevant trait. That's why we should extend fundamental rights to non-human animals. Otherwise, we have a massive contradiction. We're saying we're sentient, we deserve rights, I deserve not to be murdered and tortured, but they're also sentient, but because they look different to me, they don't deserve rights.
Exactly. This is a kind of racism. Speciesism is the first form of racism, and that is why I often use that as a way to explain to people that if you're eating animals, you're paying people to kill them or to steal the milk from them and kidnap their babies, then that is a form of racism. You're looking at certain animals and being cruel to them, and other animals you're petting and you're saying, I'm going to be nice to you, just based on the way that they look. It's not okay. Don't sexually assault me. Don't kidnap my baby. Don't steal milk from my body. Be vegan. Don't kill me. Save me.
In fact, I'm going to decapitate them for a sandwich, but don't tell me about it. I don't want to know about it. But Isaac wouldn't want to recognize that they're sentient like us and their lives matter. Otherwise, it would be harder for him to eat their murdered flesh.
But they're not humans. They're food. I'm sorry.
But
no, they're not.
They're not humans. They're food. I'm sorry. But then when you reacted to the most watered-down factory farm footage I've ever seen, your exact words were,
"That's pretty up."
Exactly. Very good, Joey. Very good. Maybe he does have some kind of humanity in him. Or like you said at the beginning, maybe he's just faking it to make it seem to his audience like he does have some, so that they won't just all say, wow, you really are a fucking asshole. I don't know what's going on. But it's been many years now that we have been trying to talk to him, and he hasn't changed so far. And you know, sometimes what happens is we kind of hope that maybe somebody will come into his life, like a good woman who will change his mind. Or maybe when he becomes a dad and he sees his wife breastfeeding, that he will make the connection that mothers and babies shouldn't be separated, that mother's milk is meant for their babies and cow's milk is meant for baby cows, and so on. But so far, I haven't seen any change in him, and it's very sad because he is causing so much suffering by lying to his audience.
But your memory must have lapsed again, because now you're saying, who cares? Because they're not humans. It's like Isaac's one big walking, talking contradiction.
Go and get yourself one of these anti-vegan social club.
That looks like a Target to me.
T-shirts. Do it!
What a piece of work. Look at his face. Promoting violence, cruelty, kidnapping, rape, murder, and trying to make money from it. Yeah. That's for you, Isaac. What you're doing isn't normal. It's not okay, and it's not normal. You know, I don't know if I want to see any more of this. Okay, another 40 seconds. I'm just going to do it for you, Joey.
And here he is monetizing his spreading of the hate of animals and the hate of vegans with his shitty t-shirts.
And speaking about monetizing, here is a cup that will help you to be a good person. This talks about the opposite. This is talking about cow's milk is for baby cows. There are 4 different kinds of cups like this that you can find in the description below. If you would like to buy these, all of the money goes to helping animals. This is a cute one that says cow's milk is for baby cows, but there are also ones that are with a chicken that reminds you not to steal their eggs and not to eat their bodies, and a lamb and a pig. So have a look, see if you like them. Lots of people have bought them and say that they keep them on their desks at work, or they bring them to work, they use them. But a lot of people say they just like to keep it there so that everybody sees it. Maybe they put some pencils in there, or when their friend comes over, they make sure to give them that cup when they're serving them a drink, which I thought was kind of a cool idea. It's also a good conversation starter.
And selling them to his 10-year-old fanboys. I don't see Isaac changing anytime soon. I don't think he'd have the courage to anyway. He's too far gone. He's too much of a people pleaser.
I agree. He's too far gone, I think. And that's why we do give up on these people. You know, there is this idea that you should just go for the low-hanging fruit. We should just try to help people who actually care. Some people say that we should be blocking everybody in our comment section who is cruel, who is an animal abuser. And unfortunately, though, if we do that, the algorithm apparently will not bring people to us because they want the comments, but I don't really know what's going on. And I have at various times completely blocked the comment section because I just thought, you know what, I'll leave it just for only vegans, and that would be great. And if anybody here is watching who is subscribed to Joey's channel and not yet subscribed to my channel, I encourage you to do so. And I also encourage you to comment as much as you can. All kinds of vegan facts, like a lot of the ones that Joey just talked about here, make sure you comment them below. Encourage them to watch the important documentaries like Dominion Movement, like Earthlings, like Dairy is Scary and Cowspiracy. Remind them that they can go to howdoigovegan.com and remind people that plants have protein and that there are vegans in the Olympics and all of these different facts that you vegans know about. All right, it really helps. It also helps Joey's channel. Don't just go in there and say good video. Like, actually educate people, because you don't know who's coming there to visit and you don't know what difference you can make.
He doesn't have an ounce of courage in him or a backbone in him to stand up for what he believes in. Even if he did think killing animals was wrong, he doesn't have the courage to do anything about it. But to any of the 10-year-old fanboys that he has, look at how logically inconsistent this guy is. Why would you take any advice from someone like this? Yeah, he's a comedian, but sometimes he tries to act like a political commentator or someone who has their own insights when really he's just a drone who recycles the same old anti-vegan garbage we've always heard. Think for yourself, don't be like Isaac, and live vegan.
Yes! Excellent, Joey. Big giant check mark for you. So proud of you, Joey, and all the wonderful work that you do. And all vegan animal defenders here on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. You guys rock. Thanks for being here. Oh, what else has popped up here? Oh, look at that. That's Mike the vegan. Anyway, bye for now, everyone. Do, 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 do.
Let's follow that vegan teacher on YouTube right now. Let's help her save every chicken pig.